Hi there everyone, I'm Dave from Dave Smith YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm just gonna share with you some travel vocabulary, how to talk about travel abroad in English. I'm gonna talk to you some useful essential common English phrases so that you can use them correctly, confidently, and without any kind of fear and mistakes at all while you're traveling abroad in any country over the world. Let's start with our lesson. And the first phrase for today's is "there is no place like it." There is no place like it. This phrase is used to describe a place that's kind of unique and special. And my example is here. New York feels like a different country because there is really no place like it. My second example, I love traveling, but I also really love coming home. There is no place like it. So the second phrase, to cater to someone. To cater to someone. This phrase means to provide something that someone wants and needs. My example number one is, those places are really catering to the Western audience. And the second one, the new restaurant caters to the vegetarians by offering a lot of meatless dishes. The phrase number three, a position of privilege. A position of privilege. This phrase usually describes a situation where someone has an advantage or any kind of opportunity that someone else doesn't have at the same time. My example, traveling abroad is the position of privilege. You have to have money and connections to be able to travel. My second example for that, being able to graduate college and buy a house in America is a position of privilege, just because both of those things are really expensive and not everyone can afford them to themselves. The fourth phrase is, I just can't imagine. It's a way of emphasizing how surprising or unlikely something is. I can't imagine this happening in the US. I can't imagine living my whole life in the same city and never traveling abroad. Yeah, this is really true. I just can't really imagine to myself. The fifth phrase, it originally comes from the French language, and it sounds faux pas, faux pas. An embarrassing thing that happens in a social situation, usually dependent on the culture. It's a classic American faux pas to ask for a fork and knife instead of eating with chopsticks. Here in America, it's a faux pas to wear white to a wedding unless you're the bride. Yeah, it's really true. So a lot of weddings happening this way. So the next phrase, I must say. I must say. An idiom that means I have to admit. An example, I must say though, we got really good at using chopsticks. And the second example, I don't usually like war movies, but I must say, I did like that one. I just have to admit, I must say. Americans also say, I gotta say, or I gotta admit. It's really essential in our language. So the next phrase, to get used to something. It's a grammar structure, to get used to something, to get accustomed to something. It's alternative to the previous one. To adapt to something or to become familiar with something that used to be surprising or unusual. Examples. Public safety is just something that you get used to after a period of time. And the second one. After living in the city for 2 years, I get used to the traffic noise. The next phrase, to be able to tell someone. To notice by observing. You could tell they were surprised because they would stop talking and stare. I could tell it rained overnight because the ground was still wet. The next phrase, to be biased. To be biased. To show an unreasonable like or dislike for someone or something based on personal opinions. I think you're pretty cool. Well, you're a little biased. The newspaper was biased in its reporting on the war. So the next phrase, nobody in their right mind. This phrase means that something is irrational and someone would have to be stupid or crazy to do that. You could walk there, but nobody in their right mind wants to. No one in their right mind would let a child drive a car. So, and the final phrase for today's lesson is to be game for something. To be game for something. This phrase actually means when someone is willing to try something new or something unusual that he's probably never done or never tried. And examples: I'm always game for easygoing conversation, and I'm always game for trying new types of food. So those were 11. So to me, those were 11 useful English phrases that you can use while you're traveling abroad. So if you like them, and in general, if you like this lesson that I made for today, give my video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you next time.